Nigeria's new biometric visa has been officially launched in Johannesburg, South Africa. The Consul General to South Africa says that it's all part of the drive to improve security on the document and also have proper documentation of visitors going to Nigeria. South Africa is one of the 6 countries marked for the first phase of the rollout, which will gradually spread to other parts of the world.
It's out with the old and in with Nigeria's new biometric visa in some countries for now. At the official launch in Johannesburg, visa facilitation agents were also present, and there were questions and concerns raised from the right procedure to obtain longer-term visas, to validity duration, safety and necessity of repeat of captured data.
This system, which differs substantially from the former, requires the physical presence of visa applicants at the OIS office here for their biometric data capturing.
How safe is the information, and has it been tested since October?
The information you are inputting will normally be assessed only by those who have the need to know. And will assure you that we will protect this information with the best possible way that it will be done in accordance with international best practices.
Before we launched the process in October in South Africa last year, we had tested it in the lab for a long period before it came out into, we cannot be testing with people's live data. So we already tested it back office to make sure that once we came on live, we got everything right.
There were also questions and clarity regarding Nigeria's visa on arrival policy.
The applicant who is desirous to go through to Nigeria by visa on arrival will have to go on to our website, which is www.immigration.gov.ng, and then choose visa on arrival and apply. Approval will be sent to the email address of the applicant, and he will arm himself with that approval, and upon arrival he presents it to immigration officers in Nigeria, and they will direct him to the visa on arrival desk where he will be issued with a visa.
The new biometric visa processing has begun in the Phase 1 rollout countries, which include South Africa, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, India, China, and the United Arab Emirates. Children under 5 and senior citizens 65 and above are exempted. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Pt.3, Channels Television News.
And now to business-related stories. Medview Airline has declared a 3-kobo dividend for its shareholders for the 2017 fiscal year. The Chief Executive Officer of the airline, Munir Bankole, made the announcement at the company's 2nd annual general meeting in Lagos. Investors are seeing that as a good sign towards a more prosperous 2018.
This is the meeting of shareholders of Medview Airline. Having been listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange on January the 31st, 2017, it is the 2nd of its annual general meeting. And so from the length and breadth of Nigeria and beyond come the investors to discuss ways of moving the company forward. But first, a peep at how it has fared so far.
We are one Nigerian air carrier that has been designated by the federal government to the state of Israel. Any of you that have gone to Jerusalem, you find out that some airline will take you through a third country. But Medview will definitely take you direct to the state of Israel.
Whatever its achievements are in the outgone year, there are projections for a prosperous 2018.
In securing a very wonderful new aircraft called Boeing 777-200. So this, we will seek for your prayer, and that will be your own aircraft, not a lease aircraft. I hereby move that the dividend of 3 kobo per ordinary shares, subject deduction of withholding tax B, and is hereby approved payable to shareholders whose names appear on the register of members as at 20th March 2018.
This result is a source of pride for shareholders who are seeing more fruitful years ahead of the company.
The report is of delight because it is very, very good. Your performance is very, very good, I would say.
Medview Airline is proud of its profit growth from 800 million naira in 2016 to about 2 billion naira in 2017. But then the company is seeing this as nothing compared to its projection by the time the year 2018 is finally over.
The Nigeria incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural lending is committing a total of $1.5 million to promote the agribusiness sector in the country. The managing director of NIRSAL, Aliyu Abdul Hamid, says that the intervention will assist 10,000 smallholder farmers. The program, which is under the Nigerian Agribusiness Supply Development Project, is also expected to impact at least 50,000 lives.
Agriculture is one of sub-Saharan Africa's most important sectors. It contributes over 60% toward regional employment and accounts for over 25% of the region's gross domestic product. Smallholder farmers run 80% of all farms in sub-Saharan Africa, with these farms supplying up to 90% of the food production in some countries, and most of them having challenges of infrastructure and linkages. How to resolve this challenge in Nigeria is the reason for this meeting.
On the key elements of that, on the value chains of rice and cassava, particularly the intervening elements. And what are those? Those regard how do we improve primary production on rice and cassava? How do we improve on storage and processing of rice cassava? And also, how do we create a very secure transport corridor between sites of primary production and consumption centers?
The United Nations Development Programme offers support to help make the project beneficial to farmers and Nigerians as a whole.
This initiative, which is, as my two predecessors said, is a regional initiative, is currently running in 6 different African countries, in Angola, in Benin, in Cote d'Ivoire, in DR Congo, Kenya, and now also in Nigeria.
Having supported interventions in the cassava and rice value chains, representatives from the Ministry of Agriculture are optimistic that the Nigerian Agribusiness Supplier Development Project will provide more support for Nigerian farmers.
We'll make sure that the robust policy of the present administration is and the regulations are put in place to address all issues concerning agriculture.
After the speeches, officials signed the dotted lines to seal the deal. The new deal is expected to boost agribusiness in the country.
Let's move on to business news on the News at 10 with Ann Waudo.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you, Gimba. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's central bank is now set to hold its first monetary policy meeting for the year on April the 3rd to the 4th, after nearly 4 months of delay due to a standoff and the National Assembly. This was confirmed by the governor of the CBN, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who received the 2 newly appointed deputy governors of the CBN, Mrs. Aisha Ahmed and Mr. Edward Adamu, and 3 members of the MPC as they assumed office today in Abuja following the confirmation last week by the Senate. The CBN NPC meeting was earlier scheduled to take place in January, but then it was postponed due to an absence of a quorum. With the drop in inflation rate, investors are expecting a possible reduction of the monetary policy rate, the cash reserve ratio and liquidity ratio at next week's meeting. And talking about reducing rates, South Africa's central bank today cut its benchmark repo rate to 6.5%, all in a bid to boost the country's economy after Moody's ratings agency recently left the country's credit rating unchanged. The 25 basis points cut was widely expected by traders and economists. A slowdown in consumer price inflation to 4.0% in February means that price growth is well within the central bank's 3 to 6% target range. South Africa's central bank governor Lesetta Ganyago told a news conference that risks to South Africa's inflation outlook had subdued since the bank's last monetary policy meeting in January, while the country's economic growth outlook remains very positive but still challenging. A total of 647 billion naira has been distributed to the federal, state and local government for the month of February. The Minister of Finance says it's an 11 billion naira increase. That's when you compare it to what was distributed in January this year. After a reconvened meeting of the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, which ended in a deadlock yesterday, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun promised to resolve the discrepancies with the corporation. And let's see how the local equities market fared today. It is still suffering. It suffered another blow today, the heaviest since March the 15th, due to continued profit-taking in large-cap stocks, particularly from the banking and the industrial goods sectors. Let's now join Layo Adegoke for details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Nigeria's stock market dipped further by over 1% at the close of Wednesday's trading session, marking the third straight drop this week due to more profit taken by investors. The bearish sentiment, which also affected four key sectors of the market, knocked off almost 160 billion naira from the total values of equities. GlaxoSmithKline retains the top spot among 18 gainers on the price chart for a third session, after its share rose further by over 10%, while Japan recorded the highest drop in share price out of 28 decliners. However, investors' appetite for stocks increased by nearly over 150 million units from the last two sessions to 535.18 million shares, largely contributed by trading in the shares of champion breweries. And that's the Stock Market Report. I am Layo Adegoke.
Thanks a lot, Layo. U.S. stock market closed lower for the second day this week as technology stocks failed to recover from steep losses seen in the previous session. Let's check out other major world markets for today. And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Owaldo. It's back to you, Gimba.
You first. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the Nigerian Football Federation stays positive despite Super Eagles' 2-0 loss to Serbia in Tuesday pre-World Cup friendly in London. That's the sports news.